How's it going, Blazers? We're going to bring you specifications you can relate to so you can have an educated decision on your purchases. This is from Artisan Cutlery, so thank you very much to them for providing this to the pass-around group. This is a Michael Gavko collaboration, Gavko. This is actually called the Great White, so that's what it looks like if it's going to be carried in your pocket. That is the only way you're going to carry it because it is only a right-hand tip-up carry for the knife, but it's a pretty handsome looking one. So it goes along with his other styling as far as the knives that he makes. So this is actually pretty similar to the custom, and it's going to be probably about a fourth or a fifth of what you would get his full custom for. Granted, if you want that one, go for that one and just save up for it. But this is going to be a production version of this knife here. So one of the things, when I saw it, it was like, oh, that's pretty stylish and everything else. But the initial impression on it, as far as this goes, was like, wow. So that's going to be the blade grind on it. And it is something that you see on his other knives as well. But that's what that looks like there. So this one itself goes for about 4 ounces, which for this channel, as far as weight goes, is going to be about 20 quarters. So that's going to be how much that weighs. So 20 quarters, if you have it available, pull that out so you know what it feels like in your hand, or add it to any knife that you have so you can actually have a good feel as far as what this might feel like for you, because getting it in hand is a little bit different than just hearing numbers for it. But also, I guess, putting that into perspective side. So something I'll probably talk about, and I'll probably update it as we get new phones, but the newest iPhone 12, so that's where I'm going to kind of probably stick with iPhone because it's popular. But basically, if the knife weighs less than an iPhone 12 or an iPhone 13 or however long this goes for, then I personally don't think that most people would have an issue with carrying it around because they already have a phone. And then if it weighs less than their phone, it's probably not an issue. So an iPhone 12 goes for 5.73 ounces. So this is 4 ounces, so I don't think there's going to be an issue. So I know people have the ounce per inch and everything else, but my, I guess, new thing is going to be quarters, and is it less than a new iPhone? That's going to be my specification on that. But this one is going to be about $199.95 as far as what I found this for. MSRP is about $266.66 for the price point on it. And then the Lyman pull gauge, so I normally get basically the pull. So basically this one has basically 2 different deployments, the thumb stud deployment and also the middle finger deployment for it. So that changes as far as how much weight it takes to open it. So from this point here is going to be about 1.6 pounds to pull that one. And then up in here, when you do the middle finger flick, is 1.2 pounds. So that's well within the range because I normally like about 2 to 3 pounds. And then normally, if it's going to be a thumb deployment, it's going to be a little bit less, so that around that 2 pound range. So it works out pretty well for that. This one has a cutting edge for the knife. So that's with this recurve and everything is going to be about 3.26 inches. So that's going to be along that whole edge there. And then this is going to be the actual blade length on it is going to be 3.8 inches. So you lose quite a bit of blade length for this front choil. So that's one thing that you do lose for that. And this one, it's classified as a Tanto. Personally, I would say this is kind of a modified Wharncliffe type of blade. But you throw modified into anything, then you could call out that blade style probably. But flat grind for this one, so flat grind across the whole thing. So there's not a compound grind in here, just flat all the way across. So that's something that is a pretty good thing. I mean, it depends on what you're going for. It's probably going to be a little bit easier to sharpen for that. I don't know how easy it's going to be to maintain that point there, so that point might move a little bit as you sharpen it up. This is going to be S35VN, so still a really good blade steel in even today's market for it. And then this one actually has a handle length. It's going to be 4.67 inches for the actual handle. So that's going to be how that looks. So pocket clip itself is decent, but it does feel a little bit sharp around the tip of this blade. I mean, the tip of this pocket clip. It's a nice pocket clip. It's like this custom again. So they did a really good job recreating his work through production level. So that's one thing that is good about it. So if you do like his work and you do like this knife, the Great White, then this will be a good option for you if you have no intention of going for the full custom. But if you want to get the full custom, just save up, go that route. But a lot of people probably won't do that. So this is going to be a good option to get his work in your hands for the knife. And then the blade grind for it. So behind edge thickness for the belly area, which is in this recurve, I measured this one at 26 thousandths, about 7 sheets of paper. So take that out of your printer. And then up top up here, this belly is going to be about 30 thousandths or 8 sheets of paper for that one here. One thing I didn't really like too much about it is, so for mine, I have basically a degree of ramp. So what that means for me is basically the point where you disengage the lock all the way until the actual detent ball is on the blade. So basically you're going from, this is actually when the detent ball is actually on the blade itself. So that goes to about 35 degrees. So for me, about 20 degrees is good, 30 degrees is okay. 40 degrees is a bit much, so it's almost to that level where it's almost a bit too much of a degree of ramp for myself. Blade stock on this is going to be a pretty thick one as well, so 3.8 millimeters for the blade stock thickness for this one. So that's one thing that's about it. It's a very thick blade steel or blade stock for the knife, but overall it's not too bad. Just to compare it to some other knives out there, wipe off some of those fingerprints before I do that. But that's going to be the knife here. So this is going to be against a Spyderco Para 3, against the Orion Solaris, against the Rat number 2, and then the last one's going to be the Benchmade Bug Out. So a lot of those you probably have available to yourself, so you can kind of get an idea as far as what that's going to be for yourself. But it's going to be probably good for any size hand because you have that front trail, plus you have the full handle length. So really, small hands, large hands, you could find some place that works on it for you. Not really too many hot spots for it when you're holding that either. But for 1/4 of the price, if you want to pick this up, then that's where it might be a borrow. As far as my opinion, for a buy, borrow, or avoid, it would be a borrow for me. Not going to be one I'll probably personally pick up. I kind of prefer the Thresher more, which is the mass drop collaboration. But very well done as far as the overall put together from a full custom to a production line. But that's about all I have to say about that one today.